Hello everyone! So first of all, wow, huge response on my last video. I definitely was not expecting that when I uploaded it. I thought, I'll write this song about NaNoWriMo, it'll be kind of funny and my subscribers will enjoy it. Uploaded it Sunday evening and then woke up Monday morning to find that it had 23 comments already. Christina Horner, who also wrote a song about NaNoWriMo, commented and said that she liked it, and John Green tweeted it. So that's pretty cool. And no, I'm not taking this as a sign that I need to get a Twitter account, Christy. So thanks to everyone who watched and who rated and commented and favorited and subscribed. And yes, some of you might have noticed I have passed the 200 subscriber mark now, largely thanks to that video, so yay for that. To those of you who are new to BandGeek8408, welcome. I write songs fairly infrequently. I'm gonna try to write more, but that kind of creativity comes to me rather sporadically, so you might not see a lot of those types of videos. More often, the type of thing that I do on this channel is book reviews, of which this is one. So it's now been almost a year since I started this project. I think I started this project with the idea that it was going to be a year-long thing. Well, I'm reviewing my 24th book today, and there are about 70 on the list. And a lot of them are not so much single books as they are several books in a series, so I'm predicting that I'm going to be done with this project right around 2011. But that's okay, because the world doesn't end until December 21st, 2012, so I'm good. Anyway, on to the review. If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. This is quite possibly the most bizarre book that I've ever read. I thought that when I first read it, and I was reminded of it when I reread it. I was struggling trying to think of the genre that this book would most likely fit in. I finally settled on postmodern. And it's postmodern largely because the story is aware of itself. That is, it's aware that it's a story. Confused yet? Oh, we got a long way to go. First of all, the protagonist of this book is you. The book is written in second person, and so you, the reader of the book, are the protagonist. Like, the story is about you reading If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. Or at least, it's about you trying to read If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. Because you see, you settle down to read this book, and you get about 30 pages in, and you're right at the point of the story where it's getting really, really suspenseful, and then all of a sudden, due to a printing error, you can't read past the first 30 pages. So you go back to the bookstore in an attempt to get a new copy of the book so you can finish the story, but they don't have any more copies of that book, and so they give you another book to read, and you start to get involved in that one, and right at the most suspenseful point of that one also gets interrupted. This happens 10 times throughout the story. During the course of your adventure to try and find a conclusion to these stories, you meet several other people in the bookmaking or story-making field. You find an author, a translator, a publisher, and of course scads and scads and scads of readers. The conclusion that the book eventually comes to is that it is the reader that really makes the story. Not the author, the publisher, the translator, or any of those. It's the reader because of the reader's individual experiences and interpretations and all that sort of thing. It's always the reader that really truly makes the story. The book accomplishes this feat in several ways. First, it tells the story from the point of view of a reader, and not just any reader, but you, the reader. The book alternates between numbered chapters and named chapters. The numbered chapters follow your story in trying to find a conclusion to these several stories that you're reading. The named chapters are the names of the stories that you are reading at the time. And these named chapters are the actual stories that you're reading, but not quite. They are not direct verbatim texts of the stories that you're reading. They are your own perceptions of what you are reading. So you get the story, but you get the story through the eyes of the reader. Every so often the story will say something like, this book should be portraying this tone at this time. Or it'll say, here follows several pages of mindless and useless description. So basically, anytime the reader's mind wanders, that's reflected in the text. Anytime the reader kind of skims over something or is not interested in something, that's reflected in the text. And what this means is that whatever is happening in the reader's life at that time is also being superimposed on the story that he's reading. In every numbered chapter, the reader encounters somebody, some other reader or some part of the bookmaking process, the publisher, the author, the translator, whatever. He encounters somebody. And then that person's personality and that person's style of reading is then superimposed on the next story that the reader reads. So in the first story that you read, you haven't encountered anybody yet. And so the first story is beset with these images of fog and mystery, like we're not quite sure what's going to happen here. Then in the next chapter, you encounter the other reader, who reads things in a very different way than you do. She likes to parse things for details. And so the next story that you read, you are noticing all of these details. In one chapter, you meet somebody who analyzes everything for political significance. And in the next story you read, every single aspect of that story has political significance. And again, this is all put together to say it is the reader's perception, the reader's experiences that really do make a story what it is. This is a book that you want to read but not think too hard about, because if you think too hard about it, you're going to become royally confused. It's really a very thinky novel. But it does bring together all of these diverse elements of storytelling, kind of in the same way that the Inkworld series does, but this is much more literal. And so largely because of that, I find the book quite enjoyable, and I do still consider it a favorite. It's probably not a favorite that I'll pull out to read, like, for pleasure very often, but it is a book that really does make you think about the elements of storytelling, and so I do still consider this book a favorite. And that book is also going to start us on a series of works of classic literature which have at one time become favorites. And so the next book on the favorite books list is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which, as you can see, I'm already almost finished with because I waited quite a long time to do this review. And that's it from me for today, and I will see you all on Thursday for the Project for Awesome. Bye now.